for those of you who may not know me, my name is Timeko Whitaker. I'm a coach, trainer, speaker, preacher. But my assignment today is as your special agent. And so I want to be able to talk with you about some of the things that come that are released to trip us up and prevent us from moving forward on purpose. When I was preparing for this message or for this teaching and this training, I was asking God, okay, so what do you want the women to know? I know my assignment. I'm pretty clear as to what I need to cover. But God, supernaturally, there are some things that you want to even do. Because even as we are doing spiritual things, we have to base the practical things, right? We need to be balanced. And so God gave me this posting to put out, and I put it on Facebook. And I don't know if many of you have read it, but I want to read it because I believe that it's rhema for those of you who are here and in this session. The posting says, one day, while on this destiny journey, you will leave what you've known so well. Your old name and reality will be stripped away. You'll feel uneasy because you have not yet entered into the place of reality that is the new. You'll be in the in-between place called the unknown. In this place, you'll experience doubt, anxiety, and even question your decision to take that leg of the journey. But destiny is calling you so loudly that it drowns out every voice that tells you to retreat back to the camp of comfort. The place you can maneuver around with your eyes closed. The place where routine is predictable and their moves and traces are tractable. This place requires very little faith. You try to justify it by masking your comfort as contentment, but it's not working. Your frustrations show through as you attempt to serve rightly in all of the many positions you're called to. You're overwhelmed with guilt at the very thought of doing anything other than what they've told you to do or what you've already said you would do. You wrestle at night fighting against the possibilities because the pull of purpose won't allow you to rest. Destiny is calling you. Will you answer? Will you answer? Does that resonate with anyone? Do you ever feel like this place where I am right now is just not it? There's still so much more. There's something else calling me. And it's exciting because as you are in that place, I want to confirm to you that you are right in the place of purpose. Oftentimes we are in that place of uneasiness because we've left something that we know was good for that season, but now we've been transitioned to a different season. But again, we begin to get frustrated because we've not yet seen or experienced that which we want to experience. It's in the place of the unknown. So welcome to the place of the known and welcome to your place of journey. I want to cover a few things that's going to help you to be able to continue on your journey because you have to be made aware of things that may block you. You have to let this be your confession. No block is a match for me. There is nothing that will prevent me from moving forward. So we're going to talk about 7 different things today that are going to attempt to maybe stop or block or try to hinder you from doing what you've called to do. Unbelief, drainers, resistance, request, procrastination, fear, and distractions. So you have to have belief. You have to have belief. What is belief? Unbelief is a thief that will rob you of the things God has for you. Unbelief is a thief that will rob you of the things that God has for you. As children of the Most High God, as the chosen ones, it is a requirement, it's an obligation that we believe in order to move forward. And see, this kind of sometimes sounds like something that's just fleeing. Okay, believe. No, but you really, really need to believe. Because when you believe, everything that God has for you begins to manifest. So unbelief causes doubt. It causes separation. Unbelief causes withdrawal. Unbelief causes hesitation. Unbelief causes wavering. And doubt comes from listening to and feeding on the beliefs that come from the world. Oftentimes when you are dealing with unbelief, it's because you have experienced and you've taken on some things of the world that are not for you. So oftentimes that's how you struggle with unbelief. Romans 12:2 says, Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good pleasuring and perfect will. In other words, belief is the only way. Unbelief doesn't mean that you don't believe. It means that you possibly believe something else more than you believe what God has said. Think about that for a minute. Oftentimes we believe in God, but we may not necessarily believe that everything that God has said about us is true. We can believe for other people, but we may not believe that that word or that promise that God has for me is true. Even with the man who had the sick son, and he said, I believe, but help my unbelief. And so you have to take the time to think through those things or those areas in your life to where you believe for someone else, but you're still struggling believing for yourself. And why is that? That we struggle when it comes to believing for ourselves. For some of you, you believe in the past more than you believe in the present. For some of you, you believe the pain more than you believe your purpose. Think about that. What happened to you? What did you experience that at one point you believed? At one point there was a pure, unadulterated nature and spirit in you that was untainted. And you believed the sky was the limit. You had dreams, you had goals, you had desires, you had the push that you could accomplish anything, but then something happened. What came in as a thief to steal your unbelief? Listen, y'all, these are blocks and these are barriers and they're very real. And so as we continue on our daily journey and we're doing things and we're being and all that, we can't get too busy and too caught up doing stuff that we don't take time to think about what are the potential blocks that are keeping me from moving forward. And could unbelief be one of them? Could I be dealing with unbelief and just not know it? I just want to slow it down a little bit because, see, we got to be able to take and give you practical applications to be able to help you as you go on this spiritual journey. Because, yes, you are a spiritual being. Yes, you are living in this body and in this suit. But listen, your mind is real. And so we have to be able to control our thoughts so that we can have enough belief to be able to move forward and do all that God is calling us to do. You believe what you were more than you believe who you are. You believe what you were more than you believe who you are. He says, behold, I do a new thing. Old things have passed away. So yeah, we've made some jacked up decisions. Yeah, we've been broke. Yeah, we've done some things that we're not proud of and probably would never talk about. We've all done that. But he says, I do a new thing. So you're going to have a mindset of belief from a new place in him. Amen. And that's why, see, this doesn't work for the unbeliever. This only works for those who are saved, those who are called by God, and those who are chosen. And it's necessary because God has already ordained you to do something powerful. And if you don't have the ability to believe it, you will never be able to see it. So we have to deal with this thing called unbelief. It's a block. It's a block. It's a block. It's a block. How do we deal with it? Faith cometh by hearing, right? So I think one of the speakers mentioned it. You talk to yourself more than anyone else talks to you. Think about that for a minute. And then for some of us, we don't even want to be still to even talk, to even hear ourselves talk. So faith comes by hearing. What are you hearing yourself say to you? That's a good one. What are you hearing yourself say to you? It's good, y'all, to have a pastor. It's good to have a best friend. It's good to have a coach, to have a mentor. But you are going to have to be in a place to where what you say to yourself overrules everything that everybody else says to you. We need a supporting system, right? But what if one day I catch you off and I'm telling you about my goals and my dreams, and because you're having a bad day, because you're human and it happens, and then you say something to me that combats that what I'm trying to do. And as a result of that, I have now allowed you to plant seeds in my subconscious that tells me maybe that can't be done. Maybe that is a little difficult. Maybe I shouldn't do that. We got to be mindful. We got to be careful with what goes in our spirit. So you have to be able to have conversations with yourself to encourage yourself, to help you believe. Sometimes you got to even talk to yourself. You know, they say people crazy because they talk to themselves. No, let me tell you something. Successful people talk to themselves. They have conversations with themselves. They encourage themselves. They empower themselves. And for some of you, it's difficult right now for you to even look in the mirror and even like what you see. Because you don't believe what you see, it's hard for you to believe what God has said. And I want to tell you today that what God sees in you is nothing like what you see in yourself. That's why you have to go back to the Word of God and say, God, this is what you're saying about me. So I'm not going to look in the mirror and be concerned about that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab onto your unadulterated Word, and I'm going to receive this Word for myself, because in your Word there is power. Y'all got to look at yourselves in the mirror and just encourage yourself. I wish y'all could just take time right now to pull out your cell phone. Come on, just pull out your cell phone. And I want you just to take a selfie. I want you to take a selfie, and I want you to look at that phone and tell yourself, I believe in you. I believe in you. I want you to take a selfie. Because I believe that by the time you leave this conference, you're not even going to see yourself the way that you saw yourself before. You're going to look at that picture, and I want you to smile and say, I believe in you. Because listen, if you don't tell yourself that, you're waiting for somebody else to tell you. And if they don't tell you, you're never going to receive it. Listen, words have power, right? Yes. They take on form. And look at you, you're getting your hair together. I love it, sis. I love it. That's what I'm talking about right there. So look at yourself and say, I believe in you. Come on, can we just say it together? I believe in you. My God, you got to talk to yourself about that thing. So, unbelief, we're dealing with that. Drainers, that's the second area of blocks I want to talk about today. Drainers, we have to be careful because we all have a purpose. We all have a mission. We're destiny determined, right? We are going somewhere. We got things to do. Listen, they said we got to show up. And when we show up, things happen. So listen, I got to make sure that nothing is preventing me from showing up on purpose. Not even drainers. What are drainers? Energy drainers, they divert us from our goals. They undermine effectiveness. They drain motivation. And they create both frustration and discouragement. Y'all, you have to be intentional about what you're doing and how you're living this life in order for you to see the promise that God has for your life, in order for you to see the full manifestation of where you're supposed to be. Because listen, it's already set up. The place is already prepared for you. All you got to do is show up. And so there's some things that will prevent you from showing up, like the energy drainers. So what are energy drainers? What are some things in your life that may be diverting your attention from your goals, that may be distracting you, undermining your effectiveness, causing you to be frustrated? Energy drainers. Sometimes, Facebook frustrates me because I can go in there sometime and, just to do a post and end up reading some stuff and be like, Lord have mercy, that was frustrating. That just messed up my spirit. Energy drainer. What is your drainer? Is it unhealthy relationships? Is it people in your life that only pull on you and suck on you and pull on you to use what you have? Could it be a junky office? My husband went to the Caribbean for 3 months, and I tell you, I just applaud single parents. I've never had to be a single parent. I thank God for that. But I have a whole newfound respect for those of you who are single parents. I only had one child at home, and I'm telling you, I was so wore out. My office was just a mess, and that's where I pray at. And so for me, I'm just being transparent. I let things get out of whack because I was so busy trying to do everything, right? And so for me to go into the office For me to go into my prayer closet, my prayer room, it drained my energy because there was so much clutter and stuff that was vying for me to fix it and all that, that whenever I walked in there, it wasn't that holy place that I needed it to be. So you have to identify what in your life, who in your life may be draining you and preventing you from having the motivation and the energy to do what you need to do. So you got to deal with that drainer. They need to be identified, discussed, and handled. They're different for everyone. Something that gives me energy may drain your energy. So you can't look at anyone else and what they're doing and what their energy drainers are, but you have to be able to look at yourself and see what works for you. See, this is about you right now. We're trying to give you strategies and techniques and things to help you out right now, because each and every last one of you in here, you have a call in your life. And so, but you're going to have to get some things right first. It's just like being in an airplane. When you get the safety briefing, they tell you, if something happens in case of emergency, take the mask and put it on yourself first. You may have a child with you. You may have someone else with you, but put it on yourself first, because you got to do some things first before you can go out and help somebody else. And so you got to make sure that you're able to say, for me, what are my energy drainers? And you got to be honest with yourself. If somebody that you communicate with is draining your energy, you're going to have to go back and ask God, okay, God, is this something that I need to deal with, or is this a ministry assignment? Because not everything you got to push away and kill it and disconnect from it. Sometimes it's a ministry assignment. And sometimes it's just about the way that you look at it, your perspective of a thing that causes it to be rightly positioned. So we got to deal with our energy drainers. Figure out who you're supposed to minister to. Figure out your boundaries. Figure out what you're supposed to do. The next thing is resistance to change. This is a big one, y'all. Because as you move forward, doing that thing that God has called you to do, trying to set those goals and trying to get past those blocks, you are going to have to experience change. Yeah. Nothing can stay the same. Most of the people in society reject change. Y'all don't believe me? We order the same thing. We go to the same restaurant. We take the same route to work. You know, we like familiarity. We do things that are common and that feels good to us and that are comfortable for us. But when I tell you today that God is really disrupting your plan this weekend, your plan, not his plan, but your plan, because what he's doing is he is snatching you out of your place of comfort and throwing you into this place of purpose and destiny. But you're going to have to acknowledge it, embrace it, and be ready to go with it. Destiny is calling you, but familiarity is keeping you. In what area? Destiny is calling you, but you don't want to change because it's comfortable here. I like doing this. I don't have to work hard right here. I don't have to think too hard right here. I don't have to depend on anybody right here. In this place, I can handle this by myself. See, that's the place where you're totally out of alignment, because God never wants you to handle it by yourself. It's in the place of discomfort that he wants to show up in the midst of it to give you that comfort and that peace. And so that's what he's doing today, y'all. So don't despise the change. Some of y'all need to just go ahead and just decide right now, God, where am I going to make a change in my life? Where have you been calling me to make a change, but I've been afraid, or I've been stubborn, or I've been disobedient? Because listen, you're only hurting yourself, right? Because when you really transition, everything that God has promised y'all is still yes and amen. You're never going to transition in God to worse. Never. It's not the God that we serve. So yes, it feels uncomfortable because we're in this flesh and we don't want to be disrupted. But if we get in this spirit and we shift and we move with the shift of God, we're going to see greater. We're going to see forward mobility. We're going to see all the promises that God has for us. So we have to be able to understand that we have to embrace change. One of the things that I do as a life coach is we do personality assessments. And in our personality assessments, we find that some personality types are really more resistant to change than others. And that's why we do it, because as we help coach you into purpose, you have to identify with who you are. What is your natural tendency? What are you prone to? What do you work against? And so for some personality types that are more passive, that are more laid back, that are more relational, we call them the S personality types, they don't like change. You don't go into their room and just disrupt stuff. You don't move something. You don't tell them today that they're changing jobs. You just don't do that because that messes up their whole world. They're the ones who are in the same relationship for a long time. They're the ones that are in the same job for a long time. They're the ones who will put up with all kind of stuff in order to not cause friction. And sometimes it's to their detriment because they don't like change. So they're in positions where they're stuck and they're not moving forward in God. And so we have to be able to identify, okay, am I one of those people who don't like change? Am I fighting change in an area? It's a question that we have to ask ourselves. And if I am, why am I fighting change in that area? My God, God has a purpose for you. He has destiny for you. What you are feeling is the pull of destiny trying to snatch you out of your comfort and into your place of purpose. Oftentimes when we move, talking about resistance to change, we'll move from one place, but we've not yet entered the next place. And in that place called the unknown, as I talked about in the Facebook page, the Facebook post, we're in the place of frustration and confusion. And what happens is, realtors call this buyer's remorse. When you buy a car or you buy a home and then you feel like, you know what, I probably shouldn't have done that. And the reason why you experience that is because you've left something, but you've not yet entered into the promise of what you were expecting. And what happens is, many of you, God has already told you, leave that. Leave that thing, leave that place, leave that person, leave that mindset. He's telling you already that you cannot take that. Where I'm taking you, where you're going, that cannot go. And so you left it. And then you got into this place to where you were not able to put anything else in this place. And then you begin to think, was I supposed to leave that? Was I supposed to leave that job? I know, God, you said leave it, but I left it, but now I don't know what to do. Was I supposed to leave that abusive relationship? But you get in that place, you start asking questions and start kind of figuring out, did I make a mistake? You got to be careful in that place because that will cause you to go back, and you should never go back. Because the place that you left would never, ever be that place that it was when you were there. Even if you decide to go back, it would never be the same. It would never be the same. Not only that, but it would never be enough. I hope I'm helping you today. Transition, you would not be able to get where you're going without embracing change and transition. Where is God trying to transition you in your life? And are you obedient and ready for the shift? You gotta be. You gotta be. So that's one of the areas, resistance to change. Request, too many demands. Too many demands. Especially as women, y'all, we can wear so many hats. We can do so many things. And people call on us and they pull on us and they want things from us and they want answers. They want advice. My young lady right here who was sitting here who was helping out, she was just sitting here doing what she was supposed to do, and she got a phone call. Somebody was calling on her and pulling on her in the midst of her doing her job. So what happens when we have requests, too many demands? Well, it causes us to be in too many places at one time. If God is calling you somewhere, he's calling you to a particular place. He's calling you to a particular position, okay? So if God is calling you here and you're in the transition of getting to where you're going, but you got this going on here, this going on here, this going on here, and you're trying to be everything to everybody, it's going to take you an awful long time to get there, if you get there. But guess what? There is putting a demand on you. So you're wanting to be there, but you're also wanting to do all these other things in between. And what's happening is you're frustrated because you don't know how to say no. You don't know how to balance. You don't know how to manage. And what happens when you're frustrated, you think you're helping, but you're really not. Because in the midst of your frustration, which is coming because of the call of purpose on your life, so you're feeling the call of purpose in your life, but you also feel the call of people pulling on you. But you think you're ministering to them, but you're really not, because you're in a place of frustration. Does that make sense? And you think you're doing well, you think you're helping and you're blessing, but no, you're not. You're messing them up and you're messing yourself up. And guess what? If you don't show up, somebody else will. And then you sit and you wonder, why was that assignment not mine? I was supposed to be next in line for that thing. I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be doing that. Well, you were too busy doing other things for other people and for yourself. And so you're going to have to understand that one of the blocks that will try to keep you from moving forward on purpose is too many demands. How do I deal with this? Balance. I need to go back and reprioritize. You need to look at your day and say, what am I doing today? What am I doing next week? What's going on in my life? Because sometimes we do get off balance. And guess what? We fix it, right? We correct it. We make some adjustments. And then we learn how to say no. I love you. I really want to do that for you today, but I can't do it today. Maybe tomorrow. But you got to learn how to say no. But we want to please people. But who's taking care of you? You know, who's there at night when you're struggling with the fact that you're not operating in purpose? When you get that news that somewhere that you were supposed to be, something you were supposed to have, somebody else got it. And then you're feeling that was supposed to be me. Who are you talking to? So you got to deal with that. Too many demands. Too many demands. The next area is procrastination. Oh my God, this thing is big. A thief of time. A thief of time. Yo, we only got 1,440 minutes in a day. That's it. So if you're procrastinating, then when is it getting done? What is procrastination? It's putting off things that need to be done for other things. Listen, I know you're called on purpose. I know there's a plan that God has in your life. I know you are destiny determined, but there are some things that you're going to have to do that you don't want to do. And those are the things that we procrastinate. I am so guilty of it myself. Listen, I love this. I can speak, preach, teach, train, coach. I love that. I love serving God's people. Heal, deliver, set free, all that. That's what I love to do. If I could do it all day, every day, that's what I would do. But I can't live in that place. There's things that have to happen behind the scenes, organizational type of things, administrative type things that have to happen that I detest. But if I don't show up and do it when I'm supposed to do it, then the other things are not going to be done to the level that it needs to be done. Those are things that I don't want to do. So you're never going to have to deal with procrastination on fun stuff. No. You love doing the fun stuff. You know, I mean, I would be in a place where I know, like financially, like financial administrative things that need to be done. I know that needs to be done today, but I'll wake up in the morning and I'll find a million things to do than to go on there and get on that computer and get that thing together the way it's supposed to be in order to make sure my reports are right. At the end of the day, I'm tired. I done found all kind of excuses. I didn't answer the phone. I didn't check Facebook. I didn't check text message. I didn't call people. I didn't call myself helping people. Anything to keep from doing that thing, that daunting task that I don't want to do. What's that daunting task for you? What do you hate to do, but you know you have to do it? Think about that for a minute. That thing that you hate to do, but you know that you have to do it. The woman of God said last night, we'll never be in a place to where we do everything we love to do all the time. It just don't work that way. And so you have to understand that procrastination is something that will come as a block, and it will steal your time. Not only that, but opportunities assassin. Procrastination is an opportunities assassin. What does that mean? If you don't do those things that you're supposed to do, when opportunities come, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be prepared. So I was talking about that whole financial piece and getting some things together. Right now I have a project that I need to turn in to an accountant in order to position ourselves as a business rightly, right? You know, you want to be able to get in contracts and you want to be able to do all that stuff. But I got stuff that's being held up because of me. I can't blame the devil. I can't blame my husband. I can't blame nobody. It's me. I have procrastinated, and I have not gotten it done the way I should. And so because of that, there's opportunities that are coming that I've missed, and I can't blame nobody. And so you have to think about what opportunities, what is it that God is calling you to do? But you've not got into the nitty-gritty of the things that you hate to do to get it done. The business He's called you to start. Have you set it up officially? Have you registered the name? The non-for-profit, have you gotten your 501c3? I don't know. Whatever it is, the college, you're enrolling for college. Have you even done your request for your financial aid, your FAFSA? So you got to look at things that you want to do and find out what are the things that could possibly prevent me from moving forward because I just don't want to do them. So get it done. Get it done. Make it a priority. Destiny is a priority. Where you're going, you got to be right. You got to be fit. You have to be whole. You have to have everything together. My mentor, John Maxwell, says, opportunities do not multiply because they are seen, but because they are seized. Opportunities do not multiply because they are seen, but because they are seized. You can see opportunities all day long, but if you're not in a position to grasp them and move forward in it, it's just something that was fleeing. So we got to make sure that we're able to get in position, do what we need to do. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, you can never do a calling too soon because you never know how soon may be too late. Think about that. I'm going to say it again. You can never do a calling too soon because you'll never know how soon may be too late. So don't procrastinate thinking that it's going to be able to happen later because soon is like now, right? Okay, so how do I eliminate procrastination? Understand the sense of urgency for your purpose, right? That's how you eliminate it. You got to understand the sense of urgency for your purpose. Plan and disconnect. Understand the sense of urgency, plan, and disconnect. What does that mean? That means that you're going to have to disconnect from some things that you know are causing you to procrastinate. You're going to have to shut some things off. And you got the power of God in you to be able to do that. You just have to move forward in it. The last one before our break is fear. That's a big one. We got about 4 minutes to cover fear. Fear. For God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. So what does that mean, y'all? We're talking about blocks, things that are preventing us from moving forward, right? Fear. How many of you ever experienced fear before? It's a natural emotion, okay? It's a natural tendency that you're supposed to feel in order to keep you and protect you, right? Natural. But let's talk supernatural. God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. What does that mean? You are going to experience fear, but you don't have to own that thing. You don't have to accept it and embrace it, because every time you want to do something big, you are going to experience some level of fear. And what I'm saying to you today, fear has stopped millions and millions of people from pursuing their purpose and their destiny. Fear of what? What if I don't make it? What if I don't do it right? What if it don't work out? What are they going to say about me? How are they going to treat me? What if I fail? All of those negative things that the enemy plants in your mind to keep you from moving forward. What if it does work out? What if you are great? What if it is successful? What if you do learn from it? What if it does make you stronger? So you're going to have to cancel those defeated language that causes fear to rise up in you. Fear. So the question is, as you experience fear, to move forward on purpose, do you own it or do you reflect it? What do I mean? So how do you combat fear? So you're going to have to work against fear. How do you work against fear? Do it afraid. Okay? Do it afraid. How do you work against it? You do it afraid. You push back on it by doing it anyway. Some things you're going to have to do, even though your emotions are all messed up in it, all tangled up in it, and you're just not sure about it. Do it afraid. Do it anywhere. There have been so many situations I've been in, and I've been all kind of ways messed up thinking, oh my God, how's this going to work out? Is this going to make sense? What are they going to think? Do it afraid. And when you do it afraid, what you are telling God is, I trust you in such a way that I'm going to go boldly because you have called me to do this. And I know that when I show up and when I step up into my alignment of what you called me to do, that you're going to anoint me and grace me to do this very thing. And as you anoint me and grace me, then there's going to be power in what I do. And guess what? There's going to be results. And then when there's results, guess what? I give God the glory. So all of that works for you. So never again allow fear to prevent you from moving forward and doing what God has called you to do. Kill that voice that speaks up and tells you to be afraid. The Bible in Proverbs says, look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. Don't get sidetracked. And so in other words, be able to identify the things that are trying to come and trip you up and distract you. And so we often experience distractions, but may not know that they're distractions. We have things that are happening in our lives, and we may not know that they're distractions until we're well in them. Because sometimes things that happen to us, things that we embrace, things that we do, it looked like it's purposeful. It looked like it's, has to do with our purpose. But if you're not quite in tune, you may miss it and then realize further down the line that there's been a possible distraction that has been keeping you from being what you were supposed to be. So, your destiny is calling you, and you must be determined to answer. Life is full of distractions. Important things are sacrificed for urgent things. How often does that happen? Important things are sacrificed for urgent things. So you have things that you're supposed to do pertaining to your destiny, but then something pops up that's important, or to someone else may be important. But now it's your urgency. And so now you have things that you're supposed to be doing that you can't work on because of that thing. What could be is lost, and what should be, wait a minute. What could be is lost in what is, and what should be is lost in what must be. That was a mouthful. What could be is lost in what is, and what should be is lost in what must be. All because of distractions. Distractions can slowly kill your destiny because distractions are things that divide your attention. How often do you take on assignments that looks really good? I'm going to do this thing. And you get in it and you realize God wasn't really in that. I mean, it felt good. It was cool. But really, was it in total alignment with what God had for you? You got to think about that. Anything that pulls you away from your destiny is a distraction. Nehemiah had an assignment, major assignment. And he had an assignment to build. But he had some distractions, some meetings, that was calling on him. How often are you in the midst of something and it's good stuff and you're building and you have a plan, and then the enemy calls you for a meeting? He calls your mind for a meeting. He want to remind you about some stuff that happened in the past. He want to tell you and let you know how insufficient you are. He brings things that look good that may not be good for you. So we got to be mindful of the meetings that are calling to destroy our destiny. The response from Nehemiah was, I'm doing a good work and I cannot come down. And so what I want to say to you all today, you're doing not even a good work, you're doing a great work. And you don't have time to come down to deal with the distractions of people or things.